Hey race fans, welcome in. We're back. This is a little bit of a test session, but we're also gonna just throw up a broadcast here of the Apex this GT4 / GR86 week 8 race at Hockenheimring in Germany. Our drivers are on the track now putting in their qualifying attempts. We've got a smaller field here than usual. I guess turnout's been a little low for the GR86 GT4 season. But we've got some drivers on track now. They're going to here vying for all the points they can possibly get towards the championship. And we'll see how they shape out here shortly as they're putting in their time. But first off, let's head over and take a look at our race information here this evening. As I mentioned, we're at Hockenheimring in Germany. This is a former F1 hosting track. Hasn't hosted in a few years. I think 2019 was the last time the Formula One was here. It's traditionally used to swap years with the Nürburgring, but last few years they've been solely going to Nürburgring. But either way, we're here with the GT4s and they're gonna have a blast. Current iteration is a 4.57 kilometer 2.8 mile Grand Prix layout, 17 turns. The track record's held by Kimi Räikkönen back in 2004, so that's held up for a while. But we'll take a look at our conditions out there. We got 23-degree air temp, so it's a moderately cool fall day out there in Hockenheim. And quickly, let's see what our track temps are. Oh, our track temps don't want to pop up, but we'll get to those later. I can tell you it's roughly about the same as it is out there right now, so we'll get to that in a little bit here. But quickly, let's looks like we're frozen here. Let's quickly reboot timing and scoring, and then we'll get to our championship leaders, or our qualifying stats out here. So just give me 1 second to work out this kink, and then we'll be back underway and ready to roll with the race. But as I mentioned, this is week 8 for the racers in the GT4 GR86 series. They're getting down to the nitty-gritty. This is a best of 8 race series, 8 of 12 weeks. So our drivers will be looking to maximize their races that count towards the championship and trying to minimize which drop weeks they're going to have to use out here. As I mentioned, they do only get 4 drop weeks out of the 12, but that means they have to show up for all 12 races for that to actually have much effect on anything. So hopefully they can get that the way they want it. As we ride aboard here with Tyler Reeb. Tyler, one of the newer names to Apex this last couple seasons. Tyler in the brand new GT4 BMW G82, replacing the F82 that's been predominantly used in the GT4 series the last couple years. iRacing updating it for this season. I've driven it a few times in the fixed GT4 race. Actually, they've expanded the what do they call it? BMW M Power Tour, which last season was a mixture of many different BMW cars in a quick little 15-minute, 20-minute race. They've actually changed it this season to just featuring the new BMW, and it's actually made for the racing to be improved. There was a lot of people that didn't really have all of the available BMW cars that were in the series last season, so it didn't see as great a turnout as it would have normally. But I think the switch going to just the brand new G82 has definitely shown an improvement on that. We jump on board here with Kurt Moss. Kurt, one of our drivers, has been around last few seasons. Kurt back after taking a little bit of a break. I remember battling with Kurt in GT3 about 3 or 4 seasons ago and haven't seen much of him since then, but good to see Kurt back on track here sporting the Mercedes tonight. Currently sitting in 3rd spot of the 146.3, about 4/10 back of Brian Lemke. Brian Lemke, a guy who I've been battling in the GT3 league races on Thursday nights this season. Brian, much improved this season. I don't know if he's found himself secret sauce out there, some kind of grip hacks or what, but Brian has been tough. He's been a tough COVID out there. He's kept me honest in GT3. I think he might actually be leading the standings by virtue of having some better finishes, but we'll see how that plays out. and hopefully we can catch him in that series. But we got about 50 seconds to go in the final qualifying right now. Let's take a look at our GR86 drivers. We only got 2 of them on the track tonight. Corey Mitchell currently leading the way ahead of Donald Mensing. He's got about 2.5, almost 2.5 seconds over. Oh, see Corey just take a header there. He's going to finish that qualifying lap in style. Nicely done there for Corey, but that's fortunate for him. He's currently sitting on the pole ahead of Donald Mensing, so not much to worry for Corey there in the way of qualifying. So that's going to wrap it up for qualifying. We'll give the timing system a quick moment here to get itself set up for the grid, and then we'll take a look here and see what we've got. Here we go. On pole, we've got Brian Lemke with a 1:45.9. He'll have Austin Diltz to his outside, 2/10 back. In row 2, we're going to see Roman Bykoff in P3. He'll have Kurt Moss to his left-hand side, 3/10 back of Brian Lemke in P4. Randy Sherwood's going to occupy P5. Morgan Smith's going to start in 6th spot. Kelly Greenhoe in 7th. Tony Phillips in 8th. Tyler Reeb will occupy P9, and Fozzie Fazzillo in P10. Rounding out the GT4 class, we have Ewan Brown in 11th. And then we have our 2 GR86s. We've got Corey Mitchell on pole in GR86 and Donald Mensing to his outside. So those are our drivers gridding up. I believe, I forgot to check, but I think they're doing 30-minute races this season. I should have checked that beforehand, but either way, I'm going to say we're doing 30 minutes. As we see our pole sitter Brian Lemke out there ready to go. We're just waiting on our 2 GR86s to hit the grid, and looks like we've got Donald Mensing. We're just waiting on Corey Mitchell. Corey is must be doing a little bit of a quick bathroom break here before we get out to the track, but we'll give him time. Quickly, let's take a look at what we see here from Hockenheimring. There's a Google Earth quick little snapshot. You can see the current version of Hockenheim. You might be able to see off in the far distance there where the track used to run off into the woods and the forests and then loop back in around. They changed that many years ago after fears of having to be unable to get to drivers all the way out there if something were to happen. So that brings us to our current layout, the GP layout, where our drivers are currently on track to put in I'm just going to stick with it. It's a 30-minute race. If it's not more than 30 minutes, I'm just going to cancel it on these guys. On board with our front row, Brian Lemke and Austin Diltz following around the pace car. They're going to lead us away to the green flag. This is a wait for green series. Our drivers cannot start until the green flag waves, so we'll have to see. Everybody maintains patience. We ran a GT3 race at Spa 2 weeks ago, and unfortunately the pole sitter, which wasn't myself, took off before the green flag, so he was penalized for that. So very strict rules as far as starting on green. Lemke is a seasoned veteran of the league, so I'm sure he'll be well aware of that. Austin Diltz, been around a couple seasons. He should be well aware too as far as that goes. So we've got Aston versus Mercedes on the front row, sharing the same power plants, different gearing, transmissions, and so forth. Aston putting their spin on the Mercedes V8. And here we go. As our field comes around to take the green, there it is. A green flag drops, and we are underway. There we go. Entire field across the line into turn 1. Lemke going to try and hold on to his top spot. Diltz trying to make his way around the outside. Diltz is going to get a good run on the outside. He's going to take over P1. Lemke's going to relegate back to 2nd spot. Roman Bykoff looking to hold on to 3rd with Kurt Moss to his outside. Heading into turn 2. Like Roman's going to hold on to P3. Moss going to tuck in behind him, followed by Morgan Smith. Oh no, Kelly Greenhoe is spinning in the background. Kelly on those cold tires is going to lose the back end. The corner marshals are just standing there looking at him, wondering what can we do with this guy. But Kelly can get it turned around. Long race, he'll have time to try and catch back up, but as our pack scoots away from him up ahead. Gonna move. Looks like Tyler Reeb trying to make a move around Ewan Brown in the background. Ewan trying to fight back on the outside. Reeb trying to take that position on the inside. That's a battle for 8th and 9th. Check back in our leaders. Dilt still holding off Lemke as they head into the stadium section for the first time. Dilt's starting to open up a bit of a lead here. He's got 4/10 over Lemke now. Lemke with Bykoff behind. Bykoff looking racy. He's trying to close down that gap between Lemke up ahead. Still feeling the pressure from Kurt Moss in 4th place. Kurt trying his hardest not to let Bykoff get away up ahead. We see Morgan Smith here up 1 spot into 5th by virtue of Kelly Greenhose spin we just had a look at. Morgan trying to chase down that battle of Kurt Moss and Roman Bykoff up ahead. A nice paint job Morgan sporting there. That chrome red really pops on the white. Real sharp paint as they head into turn 1 to start lap number 2. Oh, Roman Bykoff had to hold off a charge by Kurt Moss. Kurt was looking to make a move into turn 2. Roman holds him off. They head around Parabolica and down the front straight. This is the real first advantageous overtaking position on the track. You get a real run down the front straight. Try and make a dive into the hard braking right-hand corner. Doesn't look like Moss is going to get enough of a run. That McLaren just stretching its legs out over the Mercedes. Top 5 now, getting closer. Lemke's managed to catch up to the back of Diltz, and he's pulling along 3rd, 4th, and 5th with him. Meanwhile, Randy Sherwood starting to fall off the back of that pack. He and Tony Phillips leading the 2nd pack here. Tony in the red Mercedes with the Milwaukee paint scheme, trying to chase down the Mercedes of Randy Sherwood up ahead. Tight battle between these two, using up all the curbs they can. Reeb in behind gets a little curbs. He gets a little squirrely heading through there, manages to hold on to it though. Tyler Reeb throws it in deep, using up all the track with it again. Almost a little bit of the gravel, holds onto it. Eyeballing Sherwood and Phillips up ahead. That's going to turn into a 3-car battle now for 6th place. Let's take a look back at our leaders as Lemke still trying to chase down that Aston of Austin Diltz up ahead. Austin driving the Aston, that is a mouthful if I'd ever have to say one. Comparable horsepower under those 2 cars. It's just a matter of the gearing put on it. That might have been an off track for Lemke. That could have just blown his 0x bonus right there in turn 1. Looked like he drifted a little wide. We'll have to see how that registers later on. But Lemke now on the back of Diltz. Diltz going to be feeling the pressure from Lemke here as they head into Parabolica. Top 5 now all separated within 7/10. We've got a battle here for the lead. This is what we like to see. Let's jump on board with Kurt Moss, see what he's having to look at Roman Bykoff up ahead. See Kurt closes the gap in the brakes. Oh, Bykoff gets a little squirrely. Kurt Moss able to capitalize on that. He's going to move up into P3, but Bykoff not ready to just let him have it so far. Kurt's going to close the door on him. Roman's got no option other than to tuck back in behind and choose to fight another corner. That's all it takes when you're driving that close to one another. One little bobble can cost you a position, as we just saw happen to Bykoff. Bykoff using up all the curbing he can. Oh no, Kurt Moss off track into the wall. Oh, he comes back out. Sherwood, Phillips able to avoid him. Let's see the rest of the pack can get by, and that's unfortunate for Kurt Moss. He had a good run going, just moved himself up into 3rd place, but that's going to cost him. We'll take a look at what happened there to Kurt Moss in just one moment. There we go. Replay hammers that inside curb. I don't know if that caused a little bit of suspension damage or not, but he comes through this corner, gets back end, just slides out up on the curb into the wall, and that's all she wrote for Kurt on this evening. They do get a quick repair, so we'll see if Kurt's able to drive that back to the pit lane and use that up. Unfortunate for him. Check in on our GR86s. We got Corey Mitchell in the Murderous Motorsports machine out front. He's opened up 11 seconds over Donald Mensing. So Corey just on a Sunday cruise here in the GR86 lead. As long as he doesn't pull a mistake like we just saw happen to Kurt Moss, Corey should be able to clamp this one down. Check back in our leaders. Roman Bykoff was able to get away from Kurt Moss after that, but he's got Morgan Smith sniffing on his tailpipe now. Morgan closing that gap up on Bykoff, and it looks like Randy Sherwood trying to get into this battle. He's dropped Tony Phillips off the back of him. He's trying to put in some quick time, get caught up to the back of Morgan Smith just ahead to be a part of this battle for top 4. Sherwood promoted back up to his qualifying position of P5 with Moss's unfortunate incident. It looks like Kurt Moss had to tow. He wasn't able to drive it back, so that's unfortunate for him. That's going to be his night. Hopefully we see Kurt back out next week. Battle still rages on here for P1. Lemke looks like he's just trying to bide his time, trying to play smart, play the long game here as they head around the final corner to complete lap number 4. Dilt's using up all the track. Lemke not quite so much. Might compromise his top speed heading into that corner as they head into turn 1. Let's see if Lemke can make a move, get a run through here. He's up tight on the back bumper of Dilt's. Not quite enough of a run to make it into turn 2 though. Dilt's holding off now. Lemke with a better run through turn 2. See what kind of draft plays out here for Lemke as they head down the Parabolica straight. If Lemke gets enough draft to make a move into turn 5. No, it looks like the draft just isn't that strong here tonight. Diltz turns in early to block off the dive from Lemke. Lemke just going to stay tight in behind. We jump back to Morgan Smith. Morgan now is falling back 1 spot. He's back chasing Tyler Reeve. I'm not sure if something happened to Morgan. I'm not seeing him flagged here on my system at all, so I don't know if he just had a slowdown or off track, but we see Tony Phillips just ahead of these guys in the red Mercedes scraping off the wall. Tony trying to use up every inch of track he can, maximize his corner speed for each one of those corners. They say rubbin's racing, but generally they don't mean rubbing the wall. Tony's just going to take that literally around the track here, though. Morgan Smith up on the back of Tyler Reed now. We could have a battle shaping out here for P6 very shortly. Tony not that far ahead of him in P5, so 5, 6, and 7 are very close on track here. Quickly jump up and check our battle in P1. Lemke still putting the pressure on Diltz, holding steady, keeping Diltz honest at this point. Bykoff falling off the back a little bit, but we've lost Randy Sherwood's drop back a little bit. I thought he was going to charge up there a little quicker than he did, but kind of stagnant the last lap or so. Randy kind of holding steady in P4. Tony Phillips up 3 spots on the day into P5. Nice run so far for Tony. Phillips last lap a 147.5 to Morgan Smith chasing a 148.3. We always see Morgan Smith make a move around Tyler Reeb. That's going to promote Morgan up into 6th spot, back to his qualifying position. Next on his list is trying to chase down Tony Phillips just ahead. You can see Phillips just out of the camera shot there ahead of Morgan Smith. Tony's got a tough battle right now in that position where he's kind of in between the car ahead and the car behind, where he's got to maintain looking out the windshield, trying to chase down the guy ahead, but making sure that the car behind of Morgan Smith isn't gaining too much time on him here, compromising his position in this spot right now. Back up front to our leaders. Gap still holding steady. Dilt's still holding off Lemke. Lemke seems to get a better run through turn 1 here, but he's unable to capitalize into turn 2. If this time works out a little better for him. Looks like Lemke went late into the braking zone. They're able to close up that gap some. Let's see if he gets a better run here and potentially finally take a move in on Dilts. Take back that top spot that he started in. It's like the gearing of that Aston just stretches out its legs a little bit better on that straightaway than the Mercedes. Mercedes seems to have a little better braking under it, but the Aston seems to just pull away, allowing Dilts to hold on to his P1 position. Battle for P8, we got Fozzie Fazillo and Ewan Brown going at it here. Ewan in the teal and gray Mercedes, and Fozzie in the white, red, and blue BMW just ahead. That's a battle for 8th spot between the two of them. Only 4/10 separating their two drivers on the track here right now, so a little tight battle going on between these two here. A couple German make cars battling it out on a German track. Actually, if we look through the full field, majority of our GT4 cars, with the exception of Dilts in the Aston and Bykov in the McLaren, are all German brand vehicles. So in their semi-home track, oh, we see Vazillo go wide there. Brown trying to maximize his run through there, but they both kind of duck a little wide. Tight battle here for P8. Like to see it. Like to see the battles for any position on track. Doesn't matter if you're battling for 1st, 10th, or 20th. If you're battling hard, we want to show you. Speaking of battles, Tony Phillips has been caught by Morgan Smith. Smith thinks about showing his nose to the inside, letting Phillips know he's there. Phillips going to run a little wide. We'll see if that allows Smith to get a run in through the straight, try and make a move. Couple Mercedes, so they have equal horsepower here. This is a fixed setup league, so there's no setup issues. They're both driving the same setup, same car. It's just a matter of who can maintain speed through the corners a little better than the other. Morgan Smith holding the pressure on the back of Phillips. Tony Phillips going to have to do everything he can to try and hold off Smith. Smith's trying to make a charge here. Last couple laps, we've seen him move around Tyler Reed, get up into 6th spot. Now he wants to take that 5th spot away from Tony Phillips. Tony doing well to hold him off for now. See how this battle shapes out as they head into the final part of the stadium section. A couple corners to go. They'll finish off lap 8. Like Randy Sherwood making moves around the lap car of Donald Mensing in the GR86. Roman Bykov starting to close back in on that gap between he and Lemke, 2nd and 3rd. You know, if Roman backed off a little bit, let the tires cool down on his McLaren, it's easy to overheat the tires in the GT4s. If you start pushing too hard, they don't have a whole lot of downforce. They're basically your street cars with some suspension upgrades, a wang, as we like to say it on the back, and that's about it. A couple tiny little aero mods here, but for the most part, they're street cars balanced towards competitiveness. Oh, quickly, let's take a look at something that happened to Ewan Brown. We saw him battling with Fozzie Fazillo at the back. Looks like Ewan might have had a bit of an off track here. Oh, he just gets up on the grass in the final section, slides across the drag strip, keeps it off the wall, fortunately, but that's going to cost him a bit of a time. So our leaders making their way through the lap car of Corey Mitchell, our GR86 leader. So Corey's going to have Roman Bykov deal with now. Roman's making his way around. He's going to duck in front of Corey, but by Corey kind of being where he was located and then navigate around. That's allowed Lemke to close right back up on the back of Diltz. Lemke shows the nose into the corner there. Diltz holds him off. Basically just throws the blinders on. Trying not to focus on Lemke at all. Keep running his lines and we'll see how it shapes out. Lemke starting to look racy here as we're into lap 9. With the halfway mark of this race, Lemke's starting to feel the pressure to get back up front. While they battle, that's allowed Roman Bykov to close that gap down. Now Roman only 5/10 back, actually even less now with that corner. He's closed down to about 2/10 now. Bykov trying to push forward, put some pressure on these two. Randy Sherwood in 4th is going to enjoy seeing that. He would like to see the 3 of them battle up there. That would give him the opportunity to close that gap. Check back in on Tony Phillips. Tony was able to, he's pulled away from Morgan Smith. We'll have to take a seat. We can find out what happened to Morgan Smith. I think Morgan Smith went off track. Let's see if we can find out what happened to him here. Oh, in the last sector, he just slides off. Just misses that pit wall barrier. That's cost him a bunch of time. We saw him putting pressure on Tony Phillips. That's going to relieve some of that pressure for Phillips now. Phillips sitting alone in 5th place. He's now got 3 seconds over Tyler Reeb behind him. So the battle now is still up front. Lemke shows the nose on the inside, running a tighter line through there. Diltz opting to go more wide, try and maximize the exit speed, carry more momentum through there. Lemke tightening up in the last corner. They use that little bit of curbing on the left side, maximize as much track width as they can. Diltz almost out into the gravel. Lemke keeping it off the gravel. It's going to finish up a lap 10 on to lap 11 now. Our leader's pushing hard. Bykov trying his hardest to get back up into the back of that battle. That McLaren should have the horsepower. It's generally one of the faster GT4s on the top end as far as mile per hour here. So Bykov plays his cards right. He should be able to close the gap here as Lemke's starting to get a little more pressure on Diltz. Looking left, looking right. Trying to fill Diltz's mirror up the best he can. Three wide. Into the corner. Lemke trying to do the old fake and bake on Diltz. Fake one way, move the other way, let him know you're there. Try and get him off your game. Drive deep into the corner. Putting the pressure on. We're seeing a real battle here. This is good to see. We'd like to see a battle from start to finish. Guys can keep the pressure on. We're in for a treat. The Bykov now officially in this battle. Roman's got a front row seat now to see what's going on between these two up ahead. As we ride along here with Roman Bykov, we watch that battle between P1 and P2 up ahead. This is where we saw the two different lines. Lemke holding it tight, Diltz opting for the late apex, trying to maximize his speed, exiting that corner. Seems to work a little better for him. Lemke might want to try the line that Austin's been running the last couple laps. Might be able to maximize his exit through there. You can see the two Mercedes-powered machinery able to get through the tight section there a little quicker than the McLaren of Bykov. Bykov should be able to reel them back in on the high-speed sections here. Use that McLaren horsepower. Where we see it here, we see that McLaren closing that gap. Hard onto the brakes into turn 2. Dilt's a little wide. Lemke drifts out a little wide. Roman a little hesitant getting back in the throttle there. It's going to cost him a little top speed. Let's see if he's able to make a move on Lemke, but I suspect he's not going to get enough draft to opt for a move, but you never know. We've seen Roman try it from farther back before. Oh, Roman bunny hopping over that curb. That's going to cost him some more time too as well. Roman needs to just, reel it back a little bit here and let what unfolds ahead of him unfolds and be ready to pounce in case something happens. You're not going to pass both of them at once, but you're not going to pass either one if you're off track or you damage your car. Check back in with our GR86 leader, Corey Mitchell, still putting in the time out there. Corey with a 1:59.9 fast lap. That's fairly competitive for the GR86, if I remember. I think the last time I drove the GR86 here, I struggled to get sub 2 minutes. So Corey putting in some quick laps there. It's unfortunate that we only have the 2 GR86s out here this week. I'm actually surprised that Kelly Greenhoe was in a GT4 this season. Kelly, I think, has normally been driving the GR86s, so unfortunate to see him with that early incident, but we should see him back next week. Kelly, a regular in the league. Randy Sherwood still holding down 4th place, comfortably ahead of Tony Phillips. Almost 5 seconds now separating he and Randy Sherwood. We go back a little bit for Fozzie Fazzillo. Currently holding down 6th place. He's got 3.5 seconds over Morgan Smith. Morgan trying to recover off that slide we saw in the final corner a few laps ago. As he comes through there again. Oh, we see him drifting again into the final corner. Morgan just pushing. He's using up all the rubber he has on that car and then some. Morgan pushing hard. And then we drop back to Tyler Reeb in 8th place. Those are currently our top 8 running on track. We've unfortunately lost Ewan Brown, Kurt Moss, Kelly Greenhoe, all off track from earlier incidents. Back aboard here is Lemke, still trying to put some pressure on Diltz. They've dropped Bykoff off the back bumper a little bit. Again, we see varying lines through there between Lemke and Diltz. Last lap's times between Lemke, 1:46.5 for Lemke to a 1:46.4 for Diltz to a 1:46.4 for Bykoff. So all 3 of our drivers putting in relatively comparable quick times here. Oh, Lemke looking tight here. Starting to get a little impatient for Lemke. He's trying to find a spot anywhere he can. Oh, he's going to go wide here into the final corner. Oh, Diltz drops into the pits. Is this a pit stop race? I'm not sure how much fuel these guys are limited to, but we've got Austin Diltz in the pits. He's going to be our first take. Oh, and he's gone. I don't know what to say there. I don't know if it's dinner time at the Diltz household or what, but Austin pulled it into the pits and promptly hit Alt F4 and away he went. But let's see, he's gone. We've lost Diltz, so that's going to promote Lemke up into P1. We'll have to see if we can find out what happened there later on, but I'm going to surmise that Mama Diltz said, Austin, it's dinner time. Get out here. And off he went. But Lemke now is going to have to fend off Roman Bykoff. Roman probably licking his lips, seeing Diltz duck into the pits. That's going to promote him up into P2. He was starting to lose some time trying to force his way up to the back of Lemke and Diltz. But now he's only got 1 car to chase ahead. Target acquired. The Rabbit is out front. We'll see if Bykoff's able to chase him down. Fozzie Fazzillo and Morgan Smith. Morgan makes the move around Fazzillo at the end of this straightaway. Saw Smith get a little wide there again, a little squirrely on track, so he's still pushing as hard as he can. Let's take another look at how that pass played out here. Side by side, Fazzillo trying to block the inside, but Smith just gets the better run on the inside. Fazzillo gives up the ghost, tucks back in behind. And there we see Morgan Smith get a little squirrely, but gets his shape back into shape, holds onto it, and avoids the spin again like we saw earlier. Fozzie not letting him go, though. He's trying to hold on to the back. 7/10 separates the 2 of them. We see Fozzie Fazzillo with the wipers going there, trying to clean off a little bit of rubber debris out front. Back up front, Lemke currently holding off Bykoff. Bykoff lurking in behind, but We're not seeing much charge out of Bykov. I suspect he might have overheated his tires when he was pushing real hard to try and chase down Lemke and Diltz up ahead. As now Lemke's opened up that gap to 1 second over he and Bykov. Oh, Lemke's going to go a little wide. Bykov's going to follow him out there, though. 147 flat last time by for Bykov to Lemke's 146.8. The time's starting to drop off as the GT4 tires are heating up, as I mentioned before. Easy to do. These tires do not take a whole lot of punishment on these cars. They are slick tires, but they are easy to heat up. Oh, these guys need to manage them the best they can out here. Morgan Smith now is able to open up a bit of a gap over Fazillo. Now he's got 2.5 seconds starting to pull away. Unfortunate for Morgan, that spin earlier, he was showing mega pace. He was starting to close in on the cars ahead. He might have had something for the leaders up ahead. Unfortunately, we don't know what happened to Diltz, who was leading the race and had to duck out. We're at the 27-minute mark, so we only got a few laps left to go in this one. Lemke's still holding down P1, holding off Bykov as it stands. And GR86 leader Corey Mitchell still on that Sunday drive out there. Corey now with 24 seconds over Donald Metzing. See Donald embroiled in the GT4 lead battle. Donald staying to the left, keeping out of that the best he can. Nicely done by him. Bykov has closed down that gap. Now he's taken 3/10 out of Lemke on this lap alone. So Roman getting ready for a late race push here, trying to offer anything he can towards tipping Lemke off that top spot. Go on board with Bykov as we see him trying to put pressure on Lemke into the final corners of the stadium section. See the crowd out tonight. Everybody a nice little wave on the wave by. So drivers are going to come across, finish up lap 16, and that starts off lap 17. Oh, we're running a 40-minute race. I guess I should have popped that up earlier. So we've still got plenty of time for Bykov to make a charge here. All is not lost for Roman. He can fight back. A little further back, Tony Phillips still holding strong in P4. Tony up 4 spots on the day. Nice run for Tony. He's been able to fend off any potential pursuers of his position. We saw him battling with Morgan Smith earlier, trying to hold off a charge from Morgan Smith. So much so that he caused Morgan to slide off in the final corner. Tony's kept charging, but got Randy Sherwood up ahead of him. Randy 6 seconds up the road. Strong showing from Randy too as well, up 2 spots on the day. A couple Mercedes looking strong. We've actually got all Mercedes in the top 5 other than Bykov and his McLaren. Real Mercedes heavy race here tonight. We go back to our battle for the lead. Lemke managing to hold that gap at 7/10 between he and Bykov. Oh, here we go. Pit stops for our 2 leaders. See if Bykov was able to save any fuel, potentially jump Lemke through the pits. We're waiting to see who pops out of pit road first. Like Lemke's going to do it. A little bit slower pit stop for Bykov. Lemke's going to hold on to P1 when pit stops cycle through, but Randy Sherwood and Tony Phillips opt to go another lap. That's going to promote Randy up into P1. Have to see if they can pull off some quick pit stops when they duck in and see if they can close that gap a little bit. Speaking of pit stop times, we had Lemke's 30.80 cone to cone time in the pits to Bykov's 32.0, so 2 seconds gain for Lemke there over Bykov through the pit cycle. Nicely done by Brian Lemke. As I mentioned, Tony Phillips up in the second spot. We're still awaiting a pit stop from Tony though. We suspect Tony and Randy should be in this time. You can see off in the distance there, Lemke and Bykov cycling back through. As mentioned, Lemke with 1.8 seconds over Bykov now by virtue of that quicker pit stop. So Roman's going to have to find some time here. He's going to have to really push to close that gap back up. The Mercedes sipping a little less fuel than the McLaren did this race. And as suspected, here comes Sherwood into his pit stall. As well as Tony Phillips, so they're getting a little tighter on track. We could see a battle between those two shaping up. Lemke's going to come around to take over P1 and Bykov in P2. Let's take a look and see Tony Phillips and Randy Sherwood. Let's see if gap gets a little tighter here. Sherwood was first in, should be first out. If that gap closes, there goes Sherwood. Phillips not too far behind. Tony Phillips able to save some fuel, close that gap. See if he's got enough fuel to push though and try and put some pressure on Sherwood. Morgan Smith is going to run by Sherwood as well, but Smith we are still waiting a pit stop on. He did pit on lap 8, but I think that might have been to use his quick repair. We'll have to see. If not, Morgan Smith might have pulled off the pit maneuver here of all time. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough fuel to make it all the way. As you see Smith just ahead of Sherwood here now. This is the battle for third spot. Final step on the podium. And Randy Phillips, as mentioned, not too far behind. Or sorry, Tony Phillips, not too far behind on Randy Sherwood. Check back in our leaders now. 1.2 second gap between them. Bykov is doing what he needs to do. He's trying to close down that gap. He's running out of time though with about 6 minutes to go. Guy's running just under 2 minute lap time, so that's going to give us maybe 3 more laps if they're lucky. 2.5. We'll have to see what time the clock's at when they cross the line the next couple laps, but Bykov pushing for all he can. A little slower through that last section that allows Lemke to open up a couple tenths over him. Either way, Roman with a strong showing today. He's dropped back, pulled closer, dropped back again, but fortunately Lemke's found another gear here right now. Last couple laps, he's opened it up to almost 2 seconds as he passes by Corey Mitchell, our GR86 leader. Corey's just out there being a moving pylon tonight. Murderous Motorsports. I'm surprised we don't see Corey in a GT4 and opting for the GR86. I thought for sure Corey would be a GT4 racer over the GR, but I know in seasons past he has moaned and groaned about how the GT4s drive. So that said, I'm not all that surprised that Corey is in a GR86, but he's out here taking the win tonight, barring any mistakes. He's got 34 seconds over Donald Mensing now. Donald going to bring it home P2 as they're the only 2 GR86s. Back up front, Bykov closed that gap back down again. Taking another 3 tenths off Lemke. These two going back and forth, but the clock starting to be the nemesis of Bykoff here. Roman running a little quicker lap last time, 146.8 to Lemke's 146.9, but he's going to have to find a few more tenths than that to be able to close down the gap. Fastest lap on the track last time, 146.7 for Morgan Smith. So, as I mentioned, Morgan could have been possibly potentially battling up front for a higher podium position than third spot he's currently holding on if he didn't have that slide job we saw earlier, his Tokyo Drift impersonation. Morgan not quite gotten away from Randy Sherwood though. Randy trying to hold on to the back of Morgan Smith up ahead. Oh, we see Sherwood close right in there as they navigate around the lap car of Corey Mitchell. Sherwood wants to fight back for that final spot on the podium. He's not ready to let Morgan Smith get out and away and take that position from him so far. 3 minutes to go in this one. That'll be another 2 laps. So we're looking at about a 23 lap race in this one. I suspect we should get the 2 to go next time by. Let's check and see where our leaders are as we watch this battle here. Lemke heading into the stadium section now. With more than 2.5 minutes to go, yeah, we should be good for another 2 laps. Bykoff of that gap down to 1.4 seconds now. Unfortunately, he's running out of time. He needs a bobble from Lemke to be able to put enough pressure on him. Lemke looking solid, doesn't look rushed. Maintaining pace here. He should be able to hold off Bykoff. Bykoff, he's going to give it everything he can. We know this from watching Roman drive over the seasons. Take a look back at this battle between Sherwood and Smith for final spot on the podium. Sherwood trying to hold Smith honest. Smith trying to do everything he can to try and get away. And they're going to come across the line to start their lap 22. Go on board with Randy Sherwood as he tries to chase down Morgan Smith up ahead through turn 1. See Morgan Smith going off way wide. Almost pushed it into a slowdown out there. Oh, Smith goes deep into turn 2. Sherwood's going to get a nice run here as that's going to compromise Smith's exit speed. See if this is what Randy needs to try and put pressure on Morgan Smith into this heavy braking section coming up. He's getting a run. He's not going to be quite enough to make a dive though by the looks of it. The battle has thickened for these two. Oh, Smith drifts a little wide. Randy Sherwood gets a little squirrely there too as well as Morgan Smith drifted a little wide. Randy's eyes might have got real big when he saw that, thinking there was a chance to capitalize. Luckily for Smith, Sherwood drifted a little wide too, and that compromised his time as you see the two of them battling here. As they head back into the stadium section, a few more corners to go to finish up lap 22. 4 tenths separating these two drivers for final spot on the podium. Using up every inch of track they can. Our leaders heading to the front straight now, and they'll be heading for, this should be the white flag. We see Barney waving the white flag there just above us. Final lap coming up. Lemke, 1 more to go. Bykoff goes wide, trying to push as far as he can. Let's check back in on Sherwood and Smith. Sherwood still trying to put the pressure on here. Smith doing all he can to hold him off. They head into turn 2. We saw Smith go wide here last time. Sherwood drifting back a little bit. Not able to close that gap. Gonna try and push hard though. Smith pushing hard as well. You see the back end of that Mercedes sliding around. Those tires are screaming for mercy. Lemke now only 5 tenths separated between he and Bykoff. This could get good. Last few corners, Bykoff, you know, is going to send it. Roman will push as hard as he possibly can. on board here with Bykov. Let's see if he drives it deep into this braking section. He does. Lemke able to hold him off as it is. Gap still holding strong at 5/10. Quick jaunt back between Smith and Sherwood. That gap's open up about a second, so Sherwood should be relegated to 4th place. Smith looks like he's going to hold on to 3rd. Lemke now, couple corners to go, trying to hold off Bykov. Bykov pushing hard. Lemke holding tight lines into the final few corners. 6/10 separating these two now. Lemke needs to hold on to it through the final section here. Bykov going to push the best he can. And across the line to finish, Lemke's going to take it. He's going to hold Bykov off. Nicely done by those two. Let's see Randy Sherwood and Morgan Smith. Morgan just ahead. He's going to hold on to this spot too as well as they head across the line. Final step on the podium for Morgan Smith. Nicely done by those two. We see Tony Phillips. He's going to bring it home in 5th spot. Across the line for Tony Fozzie Fazzillo, currently holding down 6th spot. Nice run for Fozzie, up 4 spots on the day. Run for him just up ahead. We've got Corey Mitchell, our GR86 leader. And barring any catastrophe, bidding it into the wall here, Corey will hold on to top spot in GR86. Final couple corners for Corey here. And there we see Corey and Fozzie across the line. Last driver on track, Donald Mensing. Donald will be our P2 winner in GR86. Kept it clean. He's actually going to end up finishing 8th overall, as we've lost, what did we lose? 5 of our GT4 drivers. Race of attrition here for our GT4 drivers. So Donald Mensing will be, I'm sure, happy to brag that he ended up finishing 8th overall. Nice run for him. And there we go, across the line for Donald. Okay, and that is our drivers. Let's take a look at our final results here. There we have it. Brian Lemke is our winner chicken dinner. He takes top spot on the podium, also known as the Verstappen spot. Bykov in P2. Morgan Smith rounds out the top 3. Randy Sherwood just outside the podium spots in P4. Tony Phillips with a nice run in P5. Fozzie Fazzillo in 6th. Corey Mitchell brings home the GR86 win. Donald Mensing in 2nd. And then we get into our used car wrecking yard lot, which is Austin Diltz, Tyler Reeb, Ewan Brown, Kurt Moss, and Kelly Greenhoe, our drivers who did not see the finale. So that'll do it here for us in GT4 GR86 in Hockenheim. I hope you enjoyed the surprise broadcast here of everything that we had going on. I had to do some testing, so I figured, hey, what better than to show a little GR86 GT4 action in the process. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.